Welcome into another edition of Road to the Draft, coming to you from the Bucs studio, presented by Ticketmaster. Casey Phillips here with Scott Smith. And you know, we've done a lot of things that are kind of that day one, round one pick. That's what everyone gets the most excited about. But as we've seen, those other rounds, especially 2, 3, 4, very important to the role of the team. And so tell us a little bit about the theme of what we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, it's a long road to the draft. We're taking a little bit of a detour here, right? It's like we're on a highway, a major highway, and we're getting to a big city, and you can take that business route around it. So we're going to do that and kind of cut through the second day of the draft when you have rounds 2 and 3. Because like you said, we spend so much time in these mock drafts and draft discussions talking about what's going to happen in the first round, and that is exciting. But so many good players come to you on day 2. Every single year, look at Luke Gedeke, Cody Mauch, Chris Godwin, the list goes on and on, right?
Yep, so day 2.
Yeah, so we're going to assume that the Buccaneers got either an edge rusher or a cornerback in the first round. Now, what are some other things they might focus on day 2, which is rounds 2 and 3?
Okay, so I know right here our first person we're going to talk about, Jalen Noel, wide receiver. Tell me why you think this is a position that potentially is a day 2 target.
Yeah, well, I think everybody would agree that as soon as the Buccaneers thankfully re-signed Chris Godwin, awesome result, that receivers probably off the board in the first round, because with the emergence of Jalen McMillan last year, Mike and Chris being back, if you take a guy in the first round, you're going to use a first round pick on what's at best your 4th option at receiver. So that doesn't seem likely. But it's always good if you can to build depth at that position on day 2 or 3. And you know, as fabulous as they are, the top 2 receivers in team history, Mike and Chris won't be here forever. So it always helps to build up guys, and especially if it's a guy that maybe gives you something a little bit different than what you don't already have. Now, I think this is a guy that maybe the Buccaneers could get potentially in the 3rd round. I think they'd probably still stick to defense in the 2nd round, but possibly in the 3rd round. So let's take a look at his clip here real quick. Now, this isn't, he's right here. This isn't a this doesn't show off all his great traits. It's kind of a simple play, but he makes a really nice play at the end of it. So you see him here. Just basically creates a little separation right here, and he's running kind of post between these 2 safeties. But he makes that catch. It's even more
outrageous.
It's even more impressive from this angle right here. I mean, I don't see how he makes this catch. So you see a lot of concentration there, being able to fight for the ball. So that's impressive. But probably Jalen Noel is more of a speedster. I mean, you look here, he's a smaller guy. We already have a lot of size with Mike and Chris, and even Jalen's not that small. 5'10", 194. He ran a 4.39 40-yard dash at the combine, so he's fast. So just think about, it's like, remember when we had Scotty Miller? And you put him on the outside and he runs some goes. I mean, he had a nice role in the Super Bowl season.
Yeah,
right?
that was very important in Green Bay.
Yeah, and so this guy runs really good, really sharp routes, makes sharp cuts, can create separation. He is willing to go over the middle. At the combine, he had a 91 relative athletic score, which was 3rd among all receivers. Wow. And the other thing you got to keep in mind is that this guy is actually a good kick and punt returner, especially punt returns. He averaged 15.3 yards per punt return with Iowa State and really showed good vision, and that'd be kind of a nice thing to have. So if you drafted this guy and you couldn't find a role for him right away on offense, it still could be a very useful draft pick.
All right, I like it. So what is our next person and position that we're going to be
Let's take a look
diving into? All right, so safety. Tell me why you think this could be a day 2 target then.
Well, the Buccaneers didn't pick up their the 2nd-year option on Jordan Whitehead, so you still have Antoine Winfield. You do have guys like Tyke Smith and Christian Izien who may be able to play that other safety spot, but you might want different roles for them. So you might be looking for another potential starter at safety, and that's a guy that you'd probably have to use your 2nd round pick on him, like the Bucs did with Antoine Winfield. So let's take a look at his play real quick here. He is here. And you're going to see him here. He's going to make a real nice play, and I guess what his run support really, but it's impressive the way he gets off a block and gets to the guy. He's going to be an end around from this side. So he kind of gets around the trash there, really gets the running back quickly. He's very good at, he diagnoses plays quickly and then gets there. You know, see ball, get the ball really quickly.
Sounds like what Todd Bowles wants.
Exactly.
See ball, get ball.
Yep. So we're talking about Xavier Watts of Notre Dame here. Good size, 6'0", 204. Didn't run the 40-yard dash at the combine, but he's an athletic player as well. He's really high motor, very intense player at all times, as you saw in that play. Just like he was full go right there, right? He's very good in coverage on the back end, which is important. So there's some differing scouting views on how good he is in run support or whether he's a sure tackler or not, but he's a very instinctive coverage guy on the deep end. He had 13 interceptions over the last 2 years in college. That's a huge number in college football.
Yeah, when you think about how many games they're playing, that's wild.
6 2 years ago and 7 last year, 13 interceptions in 2 years. So he's a ball hawk. What has Todd Bowles said several times already this offseason?
That ball hawk. Yeah, if he got 6 or 7 interceptions in a year, even in NFL-wise,
that'd be great.
That'd be great. So that's a great sign.
And that was in, I don't know how many games Notre Dame played, but it wasn't 17, right?
Right.
So, okay, let's take a look at one more player.
All right, so our next guy, Carson Schlesinger?
Schlesinger,
I'm going to just try and say it with more confidence next time, like I know what I'm doing. Linebacker. Tell me why linebacker could be a day 2 target.
Well, you know, obviously KJ Britt left in free agency, but Levante David came back. That's awesome. There's still a little uncertainty on the other spot, off-ball linebacker, though. Servassier Dennis is expected to have a role, but it might not be a full-time role. It could be passing downs. And in addition, you know, Levante's going into his 4th season. So if you could bring in a guy that has a potential to start this year, but even if he doesn't, could start down the road, I think Carson here is mostly projected to go in the 2nd round. So, you know, the Buccaneers are commonly thought of as somebody that might be looking for a linebacker in the 1st round, but if Alabama's Jihad Campbell doesn't make it to pick 19, there's probably not another guy that would go in the 1st round, but there's several that would go on day 2, and he's one of them. So you want to take a look at his play here?
Yeah, let's see.
All okay, right, so this is him right here.
Okay.
He's actually going to drop out of the screen for a second, but he really moves well both horizontally and vertically, which is important, especially when you're playing cover 2, that the middle linebacker has to be able to get deep quickly. And he has to diagnose quickly what the play is. So here he is. You're going to see him drop out. But quarterback looks around a little bit, comes back this side, and he closes quickly, and then most importantly gets the ball out, which again, that's what we've been talking about, wanting to create more turnovers, right? And you see him here from the same angle. You'll see how quickly he moves from one, as the quarterback's changing his reads, how he changed directions like 3 times, but was there on time when the actual pass was made.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. And of course, this is a position that has undergone a lot of change now because of KJ Britt leaving and there's so much uncertainty. And it is a very important position in what Bowles likes to do. And
Carson here was a walk-on originally. He was like a 0-star recruit. He was a walk-on, didn't really start his first 3 seasons. So last year was his 1st season, which is the only thing the scouts are a little leery about because he just doesn't have a ton of experience. But they also say it's incredible how well he played given that he didn't have that much experience. And then he was a 1st-team consensus All-American, led the FBS in solo tackles, really filled up his sheet with forced fumbles, had a couple interceptions, passes to defense, really kind of did it all. He's fantastic in coverage. As you see, he's really instinctive. That's basically what all the scouting reports say about him when they're talking both about coverage and coming up quickly and finding his way through blockers to get to the running back. So he's just a very instinctive player both against the pass and the run. I think he could fit really well in a Todd Bowles defense.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us on this edition of Road to the Draft. Make sure you stay with us as we continue to look at more potential prospects. We go through mock drafts. We've still got a long way to go before the draft. Many more people to talk about, so we'll see you then.